Welcome to another live stream with BG's Tabletop and University XP. Super excited to have Dave here with us again. If you did not check out Monday's stream, definitely check it out. Sorry, I'm echoing here because I wanted to check the sound. Definitely check it out. We talked about some presenters, really cool presenters, worth looking into, and maybe going to the Game Based Learning Virtual Conference this weekend to watch their full presentation. But today we're going to do the similar thing. We're going to talk about some presenters for the conference. Dave's going to share a little bit more about what to expect for the conference and a little bit about what we're doing today while I share some videos. But before you do that, I want to ask you a question. Are you ready for the conference, Dave?
Yeah, let's do it. It's coming up. I'm prepared to work 15 hours a day each day, so I'm pretty excited.
Would you mind sharing just a little bit more about the conference and kind of what we're going to talk about today, too?
Sure. So the Games-Based Learning Virtual Conference, it's an event that's happening this weekend. So that's Friday, April 22nd, Saturday, April 23rd, and Sunday, April 24th. It's a completely online virtual conference focusing on games-based learning, using games for teaching and learning, some gamification aspects, and it is sponsored by me, University XP, as well as the Games-Based Learning Alliance, which is an organization that Dustin and I are part of, and Gamitar Learning, which has a game called Evive, which is a completely digital games-based learning platform online that instructors can use for teaching and learning. So I'm pretty excited to be able to share the work that people in the community have been doing with everyone else out there. And we've got some videos that we've put together of some of the presentations that are happening. So I'll just wait for Dustin to throw up those slides there so that we can get started with some of these previews.
And again, I definitely recognize some of the names on these slides and videos that we're gonna watch. So I'm super excited. I
Mhm.
actually took a quick sneak peek this time. Yes, or Monday, I did not watch the videos. I kind of like went through the slides, but um, there's one video that I've seen before, and I've had
Mhm.
both of them on my podcast. But we'll talk about that when we get to that slide.
Nice, nice. All right. So, like I said, the Games-Based Learning Virtual Conference is happening this weekend, so Friday, April 22nd through Sunday, 24th. It's a virtual conference, so completely online. If you'd like to check out the full list and slate of speakers and presenters, just go to gblconference.com. That's gblconference.com. There is a $20 discount, but it is ending tomorrow, Thursday, April 21st. So, if you'd like to take advantage of that discount prior to the price to register returning to the full price, please make sure you register by today. Again, the conference website is gblconference.com.
And just to kind of add to that, and I'm a little biased here because Dave and I are friends, and I part of the GBL Alliance, but the conference is definitely worth checking out. I know Dave, you're pretty much doing a lot of it on your end,
Hmm. Yep.
and last year's was really cool, but this year you're doing a lot of other unique things, like we're doing game demos,
Hmm.
panels, a lot of different stuff. What are some of the things you added from last year that you're doing this year that you didn't have before?
So last year was the inaugural year that we ran this event, and then it was mostly focused on pre-recorded content that people had access to in the days leading up to the conference. And then over the course of the conference, we did some live networking and also connections with each other. This year, I tried to diversify the content even more. So there is still that pre-recorded content. There is still opportunities to network with each other, but we also have live playtest sessions this year, so other designers and educators in the field who've designed games and put them together are going to be here to demo it. Trey is watching the stream right now, so Trey is going to be has is someone that I've communicated with in the past, and I hope gets a lot out of this event. Some other things that we have going on as well are some game demos. Like I said, Gamitar Learning is one of the conference sponsors this year, and they have an online game platform called Evive that we will be playtesting and demoing. So that'll be free for all of the conference attendees as well. And just some other things: opening speakers, live networking sessions, game demos, game playtest, live panels this time. So there's just a lot to take in.
Yeah, there's so much. Like, I remember you trying to figure out how to plan for events for the other side of the world too. You pretty
Mhm.
much have events going on from Friday all the way to Sunday, even overnight, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say overnight, but pretty late night. I'd say that on Friday we start at around noon Eastern time and run till about midnight. Saturday it's pretty much most of the day, so 9 a.m. Eastern all the way up until midnight my time. And then
Wow.
Sunday, it's about 7 hours worth of programming. There was no real great time for me to do programming that would appeal to everyone throughout the world, but I did try to enhance the programming calendar so that times that are just convenient for the East Coast would probably be less convenient for people on the other side of the globe.
Mhm.
Again, it's not a perfect solution, but I did try to be more flexible this year.
Awesome. All right, let's go to the first two presenters, and they both have been on my podcast. They're
Hmm.
brothers, so I'll let you
Yep.
introduce them a little bit more, though.
Yeah, so this session, I'm particularly excited to see is adapting role-playing games to class-size audiences, and this is presented by both. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hamid and Hafiz Printer. Hamid is from the Toronto Public Library, and Hafiz is from the Aga Khan Museum. So these are our fellow neighbors from the north, up in Canada, and their focus is on how to adapt role-playing games. So again, how to adapt RPGs so that they can be used as a tool to work with larger audiences. And the one particular video I want to show you here is probably the cutest out of all of them. Because in this video, we see a parent attempting to use role playing games for teaching and learning with his daughter, who is very young. I would say maybe 3 or 4 years old. Will try not to give too much away, but we will take a quick look at that video on the next slide.
And to showcase that it doesn't have to be very intense, we have a video that we're going to show you a short clip of, which is of a man that's playing Dungeons and Dragons with his 3-year-old daughter, and you can see that he makes it very approachable, and also a lot of fun. So we'll show you that clip just now.
So you're in your house and you're drinking some lemonade, and it's a really nice day. When all of a sudden you hear, "Help! Help! Help!" What do?
I fight.
You fight? You want to run out and find out what was happening?
Yeah.
Okay, so you run out of your house, and then you go towards. Do you want to go towards where the sound was coming from? Okay, so I want you to roll a d20 and see if you can figure out. Nope, this is the one, the d20 right here. That means it has 20 sides, right? So there's 20 different numbers on there. So I want you to roll a d20 and see if how well
If
can
I
you.
get a different number, I just hit.
Okay, well, we'll see. Well, you're not fighting anything quite yet, but if you roll your d20, you'll see how well you heard where the sound was coming from. So roll your d20. That's really good. What number is that?
There's a 1 and an 8.
That's right. And you know what number that is?
18.
That's right, 18. So 18 is a really good number for that. So you know exactly, because of your elven ears, you know exactly where that sound was coming from. And you follow that sound and you come across a camp of 3 goblins sitting by a fire. I don't have the fire, I'm sorry. But there's a fire right there, okay?
So the reason I really like that video is because you can see how games can be used for teaching and learning, even with really young audiences. And even while Izzy is probably the main draw of that video, I think that it just showcases how games can be used in different formats for different learners. Dustin, what did you think?
Yeah, that's that video. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is like perfect to show parents too." And Hamid was on the podcast and he talked about role playing games in the library on that show. And before he was on the show, he sent me some links to kind of go over and prep for the interview. And that was one of them. I was like, wow, that's a really cool video. Definitely worth sharing elsewhere too.
Yeah. And I was gonna be surprised if she knew exactly what 18 was, but 1 and 8 is pretty close enough. And I think that if you roll that in the D20, we'll consider that a win.
Yeah, for sure. I
So
mean, I didn't know what a D20 was until I was probably like 20, 22 years old. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, Izzy, I guess, is ahead of the curve here in
yeah,
that video.
yeah.
But that's just one of the presentations that we have going on in the Game Space Learning Virtual Conference. Again, the conference is this weekend, Friday, April 22nd through Sunday, April 24th. Again, it's a completely online virtual conference. If you'd like some more information on the full speaker lineup, head over to gblconference.com. There is a $20 discount that's currently available to registrants right now, but it ends tomorrow, Thursday, April 21st. So if you'd like to take advantage of that discount before it expires, make sure you register today. So that is one of the presenters that we have going on there, Dustin. All right. Another one of the presentations we have going on at the conference this year is by Megan Gardner. This one's using cultural stories and gamification to improve emotional engagement. So Megan is one of our newest conference presenters from Guardian Adventures. And the focus of Megan's presentation here is on how to use culturally inclusive stories to inspire emotional engagement in gamification applications. And I think this is particularly important because there are several different presentations this year that really talk about narrative and stories. One of them is by our colleague Scott Beatty, based out of Australia. The other one is from our colleagues at Brown University, Emily, Naomi, and Jim. This one is talking about using stories, but in a very culturally inclusive format. So with that being said, I wanted to spend some time to check out a preview video of one section of Megan's presentation at the conference this weekend.
Examples of how games and gamification has been used in education are plenty. I'll just give you a few to start, but what perhaps the most popular of gamification is Duolingo. I'm a customer trying to learn some French, but that's an e-learning language platform, and you win all kinds of badges. And when you're on a streak, you're ranked, and it's actually quite engaging for a gamified platform. There's also GimKit, which is a gamification platform that you can customize as a teacher. There's both a free and a subscription level. So if you're trying to wrap your head around how do I bring gamification into the classroom, that might be a good place to start for you. History Heroes is an analog card game where you are essentially learning about individuals throughout history. And as you play the game, you're trying to memorize those historical facts and people so that you can win the game. Guardian Adventures, my own company, is an example of LARP, or live action role playing. And we explore culture, STEM, and SEL, among other things in our adventures. Minecraft Education Edition is a great example of a digital and video game that's educational. They're largely known around STEM and design, but last time I went on to take a look at their platform, they have a wide variety of different topics that can be taught, and for different grade levels. YouTube VR and Google Expeditions have a really cool VR function. And you can do VR now by just taking your smartphone, and there's a cardboard cutout that you can insert your phone and put it on and get that kind of VR experience. And in this, combined with Google Expeditions, they do basically these really cool travel and experiences. And the last is Sky Guide, which is an augmented reality, and it's based on astronomy. This is really neat, where you take your phone and you point it up at the sky, at the stars, when the stars are out, and it will actually show you the constellations. It will draw them on the phone for the constellations that are part of the stars that you are looking at.
So that was Megan Gardner's presentation for the Game Space Learning Virtual Conference happening this weekend. While her presentation does specifically talk about using culturally inclusive stories in games, one of the things I always promote with presenters at the conference is what are some really great takeaways, or what are some really good applications that people could gain by viewing your session or attending your session or anything else. So I think that since Megan has gone ahead and done a lot of the heavy lifting here in determining what other applications and platforms there are available for using games in education, I think is already invaluable on its own. And that's just one part of a much longer presentation on using those games for teaching and learning, and also just using culturally inclusive stories. But that's my overview. Dustin, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm gonna go back to see culturally inclusive stories. I'm really curious as far as like what stories she's used, and then like what I think it was called Guardian Explorers.
Mm-hmm.
Her company that she mentioned, what that is exactly, because I'm curious what that is. I don't know anything about it, but It's piqued my interest now to go check out her presentation.
Yeah, well, you can. Megan's presentation is one of the pre-recorded ones, so you could just log in right now, Dustin, and check it out. And that goes for everyone else that is already registered for the conference. All of our pre-recorded presentations have already been edited and transcribed and built into our conference platform, so that you can watch it, consume it, read it, leading up to this weekend, so that when our presenters are here, you can ask them really educated and pointed questions about what they have to present so far. And like I said before, GameSpace Learning Virtual Conference is available this weekend, Friday, April 22nd through Sunday, April 24th, 2022. If you want to see the full list of all the conference speakers, check out gblconference.com, where you can also register. There's a discount going on right now in order to register, but it ends tomorrow, Thursday, April 21st. So if you'd like to take advantage of that $20 discount, make sure you register today. So that's Megan Gardner from Guardian Adventures, one of our other presenters. All right. So the last preview that I want to show everyone here today is this really interesting and incisive program called How to Easily Turn Lectures into Games. This one's put together again by another conference newcomer, Sean McMillan. Sean comes to us from his site, bestclassever.org. And the really interesting part about this presentation overall is that it's focused on the design and implementation of game mechanics. So other aspects of games for teaching and learning were covered, specifically like using stories and narratives. This presentation focuses on using game mechanics for teaching, learning, and education in a lecture-based environment. I know that many of our colleagues that happen to be working in secondary education or higher education are using lectures right now. So this is going to be really interesting and applicable for them. And as an example, Sean put together this presentation, and I have a quick trailer of it on the next slide, which we'll check out right now.
Let's see if it loads.
So
Oh, there we go.
we're going to do a political science simulation, and in this particular scenario, you are Joshua, and you are leading a military campaign to invade the land of Canaan. Okay, so this is a famous story from the Bible, and you are a small cult group following a god named Yahweh, and basically you've already had two successes behind you, two military successes. Your first one was you took a walled city, the city of Jericho. Second success was you destroyed the city of Ai. Okay, you had a little trouble in Ai. You actually sent part of your army to destroy Ai, and they came back retreating. Now this is unacceptable because you need to have an absolute victory each and every single time in order to instill fear into these locals. And so you go back to Ai with your entire army, and through some clever tactics, you're able to take and destroy the second city. Now you're part of a small cult group that follows a god named Yahweh. They follow the laws of your previous leader named Moses. He established the Mosaic law. And you made a deal with this God that you will have absolute victory, but the condition is you absolutely must not make alliances with the local tribes. You must not marry into the local tribes, and you especially must not follow any of their religious practices. Okay, so do not believe in any of those gods. You must absolutely only believe in the God of Jehovah or Yahweh.
So I thought this was really interesting because what Sean did was he actually put together a demo of this game that can be participated in asynchronously. So while it is a video that you're watching that Sean pre-recorded and I edited and transcribed, there is a live demo of this game that he's referring to in this lecture-based format for his particular class, which I really thought was interesting and innovative, and I hadn't seen anything like it before. So I'm really interested to see what other people get out of his presentation. That's my thoughts. Dustin, what did you think?
Yeah, I would say I have not seen the full presentation. I have to go check that out. But he was on our podcast, and I know he has some very clever tricks and tools for using as a teacher in your classroom or instructor to bring in game mechanics in the classroom and very simple stuff too. So I wonder, I mean, you've seen the presentation. Maybe he talks about some of those things in his presentation.
Yeah, he does. He does break it down. I didn't want to give too much of it away, but I tried to pull the best part I think out of his presentation and show it here in our quick preview of all of the pre-recorded stuff. So yeah, I think if his interview with you is any indication, a lot of people will get a lot out of Sean's presentation at the conference.
Yeah, I liked the how he set the floor with the music and the
Hmm.
scenario, and I mean, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So Sean's presentation is just one of many that is occurring at the GameSpace Learning Virtual Conference that's being hosted this weekend. So again, it starts on Friday, April 22nd, and runs Saturday through Sunday, April 24th, 2022. If you want to get a full list of all of the speakers and presenters for the conference, check out gblconference.com. There is a $20 registration discount that is available, and it expires tomorrow, Thursday, April 21st. If you'd like to take advantage of that discount, make sure you register today. And that was Sean, one of our other presenters this year at the GameSpace Learning Virtual Conference. So Dustin, over the course of the week, we checked out, I believe, 7 total presentations of just dipping our toes in the waters of all of the presenters that are going to be here this weekend. I think it'll be great. I think that you, as someone who has contributed last year, is contributing this year, and has participated in the past, have a lot to offer. Anything else you think you could say to other people who may be on the fence about whether or not they want to come?
No, I'm excited. Like I said, it's jam packed the full weekend,
Hmm.
and then all of it's available after the fact too. So if
Yep.
well, I guess some of the stuff has you have to kind of be there to take part of it, like the playtest sessions, right? But
Yeah.
all the other presentations were going to be recorded and added to Mighty Networks is where it's hosted, correct?
Mhm. Yep. Mighty Networks and Teachable. So the only practically everything else will be recorded, particularly like the opening sessions, which are kind of like a TED Talk style presentation. All of the live networking, all of the Q&A sessions are going to be recorded. All of the live presentations are going to be recorded. The only thing that won't be recorded after or during is any live networking, so like casual networking
Mhm.
in the Wonder platform, and also any playtesting, because that is not very useful to view after the fact, because it's something that you really need to take advantage of live. But what I've shown Dustin before and what I've always done is every time I record any video, I make sure I edit it and I also transcribe it so that if people don't want to watch the entire thing, they could always read it for a quick summary as well.
Yeah, and one thing that I got a lot of value out of last year was the networking, or I guess post presentation networking, because a
Hmm.
lot of great discussions came out of that with your peers, and you're
Hmm.
talking about what they had just presented on, but there's a lot of tangential related topics that come up in those networking discussions that are really
Hmm.
helpful for me at the time when I was teaching, and now will be helpful likely when I start running programming in our store too.
Yep. I think that one of the most important things about networking is that it's something that is very valuable to do at these individual events. This year, I've structured it a little bit more formally in that there are different spaces in order to discuss different aspects of using games for learning. So while you still can connect with people and just have casual discussions, there are going to be spaces set up for you to discuss certain things so that our interactions with each other are more purposeful and structured, and hopefully more people can get stuff out of it.
Awesome. I'm excited. I'm
Yep,
excited.
me too.
Cool. Well, thank you again, Dave, for sharing a bit about Game Based Learning Virtual Conference
Hmm.
hosted by University XP and the Game Based Learning Alliance.
Hmm.
I'll see you again on Friday.
Yeah, I'll see you on Friday.